Before you touch your phone. Before stress starts speaking. Before the pressure of today rushes into your mind. What if this simple morning prayer could completely change the atmosphere of your entire day? Because some mornings don't need more rushing. They need surrender. There's something deeply personal about the first few moments after waking up. For a brief moment. Before the notifications. Before the responsibilities. Before the noise. Your heart is quiet enough to hear what matters most. And this is where most people lose peace before the day even begins. They wake up already worried. Already overwhelmed. Already mentally exhausted. Their mind instantly runs toward deadlines, problems, unanswered prayers, and pressure. But imagine beginning differently. Imagine starting your morning not with fear, but with gratitude. Not with panic, but with prayer. Because the way you begin your morning often shapes the way you carry your entire day. And here's the truth many people forget. Waking up today was not guaranteed. The breath in your lungs? That's grace. The fact that your eyes opened this morning? That's mercy. And maybe somebody listening right now needs this reminder. God did not bring you this far just to abandon you in this season. So today, we're going to slow down together. We're going to talk about trusting God with your day. Your worries. Your emotions. Your future. And before this video ends, we're going to pray together for peace, strength, clarity, and renewed faith. So stay with me. Because what begins in prayer often changes the direction of an entire day. Most people wake up and immediately carry the weight of life. Bills. Stress. Family pressure. Fear about the future. And before their feet even touch the floor, their peace is already gone. But here's the twist. What if mornings were never meant to begin with panic? What if they were meant to begin with surrender? Lamentations says, His mercies are new every morning. Every morning. Not occasionally. Not only on perfect days. Every single morning. That means no matter how yesterday ended, today begins with fresh mercy. Think about how powerful that is. Yesterday's mistakes? God already knew about them. Yesterday's stress? He saw every tear. The anxiety you carried into bed last night? He never stopped watching over you. And yet, He still woke you up today. That means your story is not over. And honestly, some people listening to this video have been carrying silent exhaustion for a long time. Smiling outwardly, while inwardly feeling drained. But this is where prayer becomes powerful. Prayer reminds you that you do not walk into this day alone. And that changes everything. Now let's talk about something that can completely shift your mindset in the morning. Gratitude. Because gratitude and fear cannot control your heart at the same time. One always weakens the other. And this is where many people struggle. They spend more time thinking about what could go wrong than remembering how faithful God has already been. But look back for a moment. There were seasons you thought would break you. And somehow God carried you through them. There were nights you cried privately. And mornings you didn't know how you would keep going. Yet here you are. Still breathing. Still standing. Still moving forward. That's not luck. That's grace. Psalm 34 says, I will bless the Lord at all times. Not only when life feels easy. Not only when prayers are answered immediately. At all times. And honestly, that kind of faith changes people. Because praise shifts your focus away from panic. Instead of constantly asking, what if everything falls apart? You begin asking, what if God is already working behind the scenes? That perspective changes your spirit. And what happened next in my own life taught me something important. The seasons where I thanked God the most were not always the easiest seasons. Sometimes they were the hardest. But gratitude gave me strength while waiting. Let's be real for a moment. Some people wake up already mentally exhausted. Not because the day has been difficult yet, but because their mind never truly rested. Overthinking. Fear. Pressure. What if thoughts. And if you're not careful, anxiety will convince you that carrying worry is the same thing as being responsible. But it's not. Worry drains strength. Peace restores it. Philippians says, "The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds." Guard. That means God's peace protects your inner life. Because your greatest battles are not always external. Sometimes the loudest battle is happening inside your own thoughts. And this is where most people go wrong. They feed fear all morning long. Negative news. Stressful thinking. Imaginary worst-case scenarios. Then they wonder why their spirit feels heavy. But prayer interrupts that cycle. Prayer slows your thoughts down. Prayer reminds your heart who is in control. Prayer brings your attention back to God instead of fear. And maybe somebody watching this right now needs to hear this clearly. You were never meant to carry the future by yourself. That burden is too heavy for human shoulders. One of the hardest parts of faith is trusting God when nothing seems to be changing. You pray, but the answer feels delayed. You trust, but the situation still looks uncertain. And this is where discouragement quietly enters many hearts. But Romans 8 verse 28 says something powerful. All things work together for good to those who love God. Not some things. All things. Even the confusing seasons. Even the waiting seasons. Even the painful seasons. And here's the part people often miss. God can still be working in ways you cannot currently see. Think about that. While you are worrying, God may already be arranging the answer. While you are losing sleep, God may already be opening doors. While you feel forgotten, He may be preparing something bigger than you expected. And this is where faith becomes real. Faith is trusting God before the evidence arrives. Not after. That's difficult sometimes. But it's also where spiritual growth happens. Because delay does not mean abandoned. And silence does not mean absence. So here's the truth I want you to carry into today. You do not have to enter this day afraid. Not because life will suddenly become perfect, but because God is already with you inside this day. Before you face that conversation, He's there. Before you handle that pressure, He's there. Before you step into the unknown, He's already ahead of you. And maybe the reason God woke you up this morning wasn't just to survive another day. Maybe it was to remind you that His grace is still holding your life together. That's why prayer matters. Because prayer reconnects your heart to peace. Prayer reminds you that fear is not your master. Prayer helps you breathe again spiritually. And maybe today, instead of carrying everything alone, you finally surrender it. As this message comes to an end, take one deep breath. Slow down for a moment. Think about everything you've been carrying recently. The stress, the uncertainty, the silent battles nobody else fully understands. Now imagine placing all of it into God's hands. Not temporarily. Completely. Because some burdens become lighter the moment you stop trying to carry them without Him. And remember this: God is not distant from your life today. He sees the pressure. He sees the exhaustion. He sees the prayers you haven't even spoken out loud yet. And He still cares deeply about you. So don't rush through this morning disconnected from Him. Start the day with gratitude. Walk through it with faith. And trust that God is already working in places you cannot yet see. If this prayer encouraged you today, type Amen in the comments below. And if there's something specific you want prayer for today, peace, strength, healing, guidance, leave it in the comments as well. You never know who may pray for you and be encouraged by your faith. Also, if this video helped you start your morning with peace, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the next message may arrive exactly when you need it most. And don't forget to share this with someone who's carrying heavy emotions today. One prayer, one reminder, one quiet moment with God can completely change the direction of a person's day. God bless you. And may peace, strength, wisdom, and favor follow you through every moment of today.